Soul Garden.
Hello folks, Christopher Witecki here, your friendly neighborhood astrologer. Well, I made this video for people because a lot of people have asked me what is involved with a natal reading. A lot of you have discovered soulgarden.tv, you weren't necessarily into your horoscopes, and then when the idea of a natal reading came up, you really didn't know what that involved. So I thought I'd sit down, that's right, I'd actually sit down and talk about it with you real quick and kind of go through what I do in a personal natal reading. Now, first of all, natal readings are always over the phone or over Skype, so you'll see me on webcam or I'll be talking to you personally on the phone. And I generally use 4 points when I'm doing readings. The first point is, what is the soul's story? I believe a soul has a story. It's already in motion at the time you're born. In fact, the theory of astrology is not that the planets dictate who we are. It's that it reflects who we are. The idea is, the moment the baby takes its first breath, you know, that classic shot in a, in a Hollywood film, or the baby takes its first breath and you hear it cry, according to astrologers, that moment is almost like the soul signing the soul contract. You can actually not be incarnated up until that moment. As soon as you take your first breath, according to astrology, boom, you're locked in the story. And what we do as astrologers is, at that very moment, we take a snapshot of where the planets are at that moment. It's not just the planets up in the sky, it's how they relate to where you're born on Earth. That's why we need to know where you're born on the planet, because there was some constellation that was rising at the time of your birth. That's your rising sign. So if your dad went outside after you were born and looked at the stars, one sign would be rising. There'd be so many signs above you, and there'd be so many signs below you on Earth. And we believe as astrologers that that is a symphony of gravity. And that symphony of gravity is a representation of your spiritual DNA. In other words, you can only be born at a time when the universe is literally playing your tune. That's the moment that you can cross over. You have to wait to be born until then. So a lot of people ask me, what about breech babies? And what about preemie babies? And what about babies that were induced? Well, according to astrology, all that drama around your birth was destined. You came at the perfect time because that was the moment you could cross over, when the universe was equal to your actual vibration. So as an astrologer, part of the talent of being an astrologer is being able to step back and look at all these different gravitational bodies, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, north and south nodes, you know, asteroids in some cases. We look at this entire symphony orchestra and we kind of boil it down to an overall theme. And that's what I do. I find the story. What's the theme? What are the themes in your life? What are the themes of your soul through many lifetimes? What was the story as you entered? So coming up with the story is the first thing. Now, in many cases, people pretty much know their stories, but they're always shocked as hell to find out that some strange astrologer can pinpoint it on the head. And that's part of the fun and excitement of a reading. You just can't believe the affirmations that you have. Now, once we identify what the story is, my next step is to look at where your spiritual hangups are. A lot of people will say, I want to know about career. I want to know about romance. I want to know if I'm going to have children. I want to know this. I want to know that. You know what? You can have it all. According to the astrology or the theory of astrology, we light cast our own reality. You can have all these things. The reason why your career may not be taking off, or the reason why your romances may not be taking off, is because there are little knots in your awareness. There are little hang-ups. There are lessons that hold you back. And what I'll do is boil down all of these topics to core issues in your soul that you are either facing or refusing to face or haven't really acknowledged as a core issue. So for instance, if you have an issue with not speaking up, which would come from a lunar eclipse in Gemini, well, not speaking up is going to affect you in your career. It's going to affect you in your relationships. It's going to affect you with your children. It's going to affect you in your creative life. These juggernauts affect you everywhere. And in most cases, the biggest piece of the reading is getting to these core issues and helping you identify them and giving you tools to get past them, to work with them, and sharing with you resources that I've come up with over the years, or other people in the Soul Collective that I know that are working on it and are not afraid for you to approach them. Then the third topic is, okay, where are you in this story now? You were born to be a success. You were born to be a star. You were born to be a mother. You have a trajectory upon entry that you're heading on. Where are you in that story? And that really depends on how old you are. If you're young at 18, 19, 20, you're just getting started with some of these. In fact, you're typically a kid until your Saturn return, which is age 30, by the way. Perhaps you have done 2/3 of your story and now you're waiting for your last piece, which would be the second Saturn return. You are somewhere in this story, and it's important to kind of identify where you are in your story. And this is the part of the reading where I'll kind of backtrack and say, okay, for the last 5 to 10 years, it's been all about this, and this is what you've been learning, and you really weren't ready for this until now, and this is when this hit, and I can amaze you with certain dates because sometimes things are just so clear in the chart. And then I'll also project into the future. Okay, for the rest of this year, you're going to be working on this, and you'll be working on that, and the universe is going to test you here, and it's going to test you there. For the rest of this decade, you're going to be wrapping up this overall arc, and I'll give you a real idea of your spiritual timeline. Then in the final piece, it's basically, what do you want next? It's me helping you with all my wisdom and my awareness of your signature vibration of what you want. So this is where you tell me, well, I really want career, or I really want romance, I really want to draw on, the right person into my life. And a couple things come from that. On the one hand, I'll say to you, well, okay, I know you want career, but the universe is saying you've got to get your lifestyle in order before you can have that career. So I'll give you the clues to get your career going. Sometimes what you want is right on line with what the universe is supporting. Sometimes what you want is you ignoring where you really need to be working. So I'm going to be really frank and honest with you about how things are really looking, but give you the tools. We are not withheld. We're in a state of free will. We all like-cast our own reality, so you can absolutely like-cast what you want, but the universe does sometimes set up a few obstacles that have to be made or have to be passed before the full energy opens up. So I'm at total disposal there, and I come with tons of tools and tricks to the trade and what I've learned. And also, I never, never, never share someone else's reading with a certain client. But I will share the wisdom. I'll say, you know what, I got 25 Pisces all dealing with the same sort of thing. Here's how one person did it, here's how another person did it. So you're also getting my kind of big picture awareness of all the horoscopes, all the feedback and whatnot. And I'm really seeing some fantastic creative solutions there, so I can be of service there. Now that's pretty much an hour reading, and it's me talking nonstop. In fact, your ears and your brain will definitely be tired because it's deep, as you well know from just the daily horoscopes. If you buy a 90-minute reading, that extra half hour usually gives you the time to ask some off-the-wall questions. We can pull up your children, we can pull up your spouse, we can pull up the guy you have a crush on across the way. We can pull up anybody, and people often ask, can I look at more than one chart? Sure, it's your time. You're paying for me by the hour, so you have my wisdom at your disposal. We don't even have to follow my format. It's just my format over the last 15 years of reading is really effective, and there are many people who have come back later after they got kind of a grasp on what their story is. So if you're interested in a personal reading, be sure to email us at readings@soulgarden.tv, or you can click on it for more information in the Soul Garden Collective under Readings. Hope to hear or talk to you soon. Live, love, be.
Soul Garden.